Hello everybody, my name is Walter Arangino. I'm from Italy, and I left Italy when I was 28. I've been living in the United States since then for over 21 years. As far as concerning my profession, I've been in the aviation industry for over 20 years. I flew airplanes carrying passengers, and currently I teach for an airline. I teach flying a simulator. And this is, it's very important for me to bring up the fact that I've been likely to live in two different countries with different cultures. Because it did reflect my research. Okay, we do have on my left-hand side a paper with the 7 pointers. GMO labeling. The purposes of my research is to determine if in America people should have the right to know when they're eating GMO. So if the food that is affected by the GMO, if it should be labeled as a GMO food, so the people they can make a choice. And considering that in France, the French country is totally rejecting the GMO as an illegal activity. So because of this, to try to find the conclusion about the GMO labeling, I had to look at the picture for two different countries, even though in the end I kind of made I guess a left turn towards France to see why the French are rejecting the GMO. What is the reason? Should we be concerned? Okay, so that's the big question. Point two, GMO. What's a GMO? A lot of people at this point might be wondering, what is a GMO? Well, the GMO, the easiest way is to compare it to the organic food, and the organic food is a natural product that the farmers, in order to be to say that they're producing organic food, they cannot use fertilizers, chemicals, synthetic pesticides, everything that actually is used on the GMO world. So that's the main difference between the two. Point three, importance of two different cultures, just like I said, to be able to come to a solution. Because if I would be only focusing myself in the United States, my research would reflect nothing else than a cultural belief of one country. And if I would do only about Europe, so I decided to start with both, and then look at France specifically, the rejecting, and come up with a conclusion. Point number four. USA biggest promoter of GMO, Monsanto Corporation. Well, the Monsanto Corporation is the leading producer of GMO in the world. And I have an article that comes from the UVU Library Collection. It's a peer review, it's an academic journal from 2003, and it's very important, even though it's in 2003, because I want people to understand that it reflects the intention of the government, even with a different president, with the President Obama, Bush. The article says that Bush pushes pro-GMO, and in this article, President Bush is very disappointed of the European community for doubting the GMO product. That's what it's all about. So point number five, Europe, in particular with France, is rejecting the GMO. I do have my second source comes from the UVU Library Collection. It's a periodical, and the author, John Rappaport, is very disappointed of the very American government. The bottom line is like, wait a minute, the French country is rejecting the GMO as an illegal activity, and the United States is seeking for labeling. And that is the article says, Europe rejects GMO crops. kinder, gentler America seeks labeling. It's very disappointing, and it talks about the corporations that are affecting the government agenda, and in specific the Monsanto Corporation is affecting the agenda of the government with President Bush. He did with President Bush, and he's doing the same with President Obama. As a matter of fact, John Rappaport indicates that President Obama is #1 lobbyist of Monsanto. Okay. My third source comes from the UVU library. We're going to look at the point number 5, France rejecting the GMO. And this is, it's a peer-reviewed, and it's a fact. We can't really hide this. I want you to see that the French country has rejected with the law, I think May 2014. These are the green areas, green zones represent the areas that they're against the GMO. And of course, it's the all French country. So now, point number 6, the maize product. So the French country said no to the European community, and said sorry. Even the European community that permit GMO, the French law for the French government, the Monsanto 810 genetically engineered corn law. French law is rejecting the European community law, and from this article you can see the product that they're totally rejecting since May 2014. And this article is from the internet, but what's important is about the law, Monsanto 810. You can go anywhere and find that this is a fact. Unfortunately, the French government is supporting the people, and what's more important is, we go to point number 6 is, I have this other source that is from the UVU library collection, and it's about a book written by Chaya Heller. And it is the explanation of why the French people are, the French government is supporting the opinion of the French people, and it's nothing else than a cultural belief of the French country, that even though there's no scientific data that the corn, it could be harmful to people, even though there's no data. The government is just rejecting because the people, they have a preference for the organic food. Okay, so he talks about it, and as a matter of fact, the article at some point says, yes, it should follow France's lead in placing people over profit. That's very, very interesting. So what's the conclusion? Well, conclusion point number 7 is, I guess that the French government is a little drastic in the decision. I'm pretty sure there's some people that they would have nothing against the GMO. And so when we look at it from the French perspective, and we want to give an answer to the question that point number 1, so should the American people have the rights to know when they're eating GMO? Well, considering that for the French government there's a preference, and there's some concerns. Unfortunately, generally speaking, when you look at from the European perspective, they're not very sure yet. Can't really prove it's bad, but there's questions, and they're asking for more time to be able to determine if it's safe or not. So considering that, I think we could say that the American people should have at least the freedom to choose, even though it could be just like a preference, like the French preference for an organic food rather than eat GMO food. Well, thank you very much for everybody for listening, and I hope you enjoyed, and good evening to everybody from Walter Arangino.